So, questions? If you have some, questions, online, we could try to have you speak actually as well. Yes, Lily.
Well, I have so many questions. So a lot of them got asked. Actually, of course, I was going to be that person in the room who was going to ask about language before Judith did. But I thought, I thought everything, your whole talk and everything was so brilliant, and it opened up so many avenues and gave me a lot of hope. Actually, just to hear you talk, it was brilliant. Thank you so much. And then for me, as a translation scholar, because I work with translation, I was so interested by what you said about the way that, first of all, that your native language, that now you're thinking about going and learning your native language, which is so interesting, and that the way that the grammar and the structures and gender come back into your Hindi and create a kind of resistance in the Hindi, it's not without significance, because Hindi is this language of domination as well, as you say. So it's all so interesting to me, and I was thinking about one of the first things you said was that the Adivasi people have this history of resistance and rebellion and critique, actually, of the caste system and everything. And I was wondering about, what's the role of poetry in that, act of resistance, and also in the language that you use, right? In that dynamic between those two languages, but just how does that resistance play out in your language and in your poetry? And that's also a question for the translator, of course, because how do you translate that resistance of your native language that I forgot the name of? I'm so sorry. How do you translate that resistance of the language difference into one single language, which is also an imperial language, French? Sorry, I'm geeking out in my own mind. And then also. And then I'm thinking, what would happen if you started writing in your native language that you're learning, and if you translated your own work back into that language, how would you translate that resistance? So you don't have to answer all of those questions or any of them. I also would like to know the name of the English translator.
So Bhumika Chawla D'Souza is English translator. Annie Monto is French translator. Yeah. So yes. So I think it's very hard. Some Kuduk people are trying to translate my poems. They are struggling because in Kuduk language everything is feminine. And
Wait, what is that?
feminine means there is very
the pronouns.
Yeah.
They
Pronouns
use
also
pronouns and
for everything. Means there is only, I think.
You're going to start learning Koruk, right?
And
so I guess men switch from female, male. Whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yes.
So only for male, and I think how they have thought God also male. So maybe only for them male pronunciation they use. Otherwise, other all creature also all are feminine. Some feminine. So how they translate, I don't know. But still, in some program I have seen they small poems they are trying to translate, and they are trying to recite also. Yeah, and maybe I don't know, because it is now I can understand people conversation in my language, but still I'm not that fluent to write. So I don't know. Maybe I will continue writing in Hindi, and other people will with that struggle also. If they try to translate in own language, it is good. Some other communities are like Santhali has translated in there, because Santhali people are in art literature, they are more forward than other communities which are in deep forest, and they are connected to mainstream also, and that's why, and they know many languages wherever in which areas they are, they know their language also and other communities language also, Hindi, English, Bangla, Odia, everything. That's why they are very good to translation, and they are doing good in their literature. But for other communities like Kuluk or maybe other communities are there, it is it is not going very fast. Yeah, and for international language or for English, I think we have very in collaborative way, we have sit one place, and we have taken some time, and what she has translated, whether I am feeling okay or not, or where in which word we can change, so maybe Hindi speaking people or English speaking people can understand. So in this way, in that kind of collaboration we have done. Same it is German also and English also, because initially my book came in Hindi English and Hindi German, so we went that kind of process. And yeah, and when I hear from my French translator Annie Monto, she also said that everybody, all translators said that it was for them, it was one kind of journey and healing process, and during this process and during this journey they were understanding so much about Adivasi world and Adivasi people also. So I think all translation has gone this kind of, means I'm connected to all translators, somewhere we met and they felt, or somewhere they found this book and they felt so connected, and they have what they are translating, which style they are taking, everybody we were in conversation also. So I know in Italian, in Spanish, in different way, which way they have translated. And English and German, these first two books we call with the translator and me and other some friends, those who know many languages, we have sat together and we have done this process.
Annie, I see you're there, and do you want to try and use your mic? No, your mic is not on.
Okay.
Oh yes, it is. Yes.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear about languages. This is my so-called field of expertise. First of all, I would say that languages which have no grammatical genders are not only the Adivasi languages, which generally don't have, but also the neighboring so-called major languages like Bengali has no grammatical genders, Odia also has not, and in Hindi, Jacinta is extremely correct. She never mistakes on the gender question. She writes absolutely correct Hindi. But what interests me is not the question of the gender thing in languages. We know that it is an arbitrary thing. Languages which have grammatical gender and those which have not are not, opposite in the question of handling the women labor and problems. It's not a question of the sign and its arbitrary value. The question in Jacinta language is the extension or the forgetfulness about languages, and it's a well-known thing that languages are dying in India. There is a renowned linguist or paralinguist an activist, a linguist activist, who remained the linguistic survey of India, taking more attention to those indigenous language. Ganesh Devi, you can get him in line, DEVI, and he says very, very abruptly that India is a symmetry of languages. Why do I take this question in front of you? Because it is linked with all the what Jacinta just said. Adivasi is a deeply democratic society, deeply equalitarian society, and diversity in languages as well in other fields. For instance, botanic, the so-called ecologic problem is also, they are all connected. This is not a random fact that hotspots of biodiversity are also hotspots in language diversity. So the saving of these dying languages, a lot of dying, far more than awakening. There are new languages created, Pidgins, then Creoles, sure, but the rate of dying languages is an alarming sign for democracy in the world, and even in France. If you
and can we keep it short?
If you know a bit of the
Annie,
French history.
Annie, can we keep it short? Give some time to Jacinta. Yes, can we keep it short as well? So
okay.
and
Okay. So
give some time to Jacinta. Sorry, I'm being very rude.
Emphasize in Jacinta's struggle the wish for saving a human democracy, of collective action within the environment, in respecting biodiversity, respecting languages, and going against the mainstream, which is mainly, if we say extractivism and productivism, sure, we have the crucial words for what is happening in Bazaar, for instance, which is probably the worst place of extraction in the tribal areas, the Adivasi areas. But this whole thing is linked with the struggle for keeping cultural identity, and in this matter of keeping living the Adivasi identity is just keeping the human values. The first poem which was read said it very well. It's keeping human collectivist democracy. I mean, the fact of sharing, the fact of considering every partner in the living area as an equal is basic.
So, Jacinta, do you want to?
That is the best.
Thank you, Annie.
Of her contribution.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lesson for the
So,
world.
Jacinta, do you want to respond? Do you want?
I think no. Annie, I want to say Annie is saying right.
Right. Okay. So, thank you, and we'll include. I mean, we can actually include, your questions in the written form as well, in the written publication. So there are quite a few questions around here, around the table, maybe. Yes. Pauline.
Thank you very much for sharing so much with us. I had a question about your work as a journalist. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah.
To report on these struggles, to save the environment, or about something else. And how does this work interact with or how does it connect with your work as a poet? Maybe?
Yeah. So early age, like in school, I started writing short stories and poems, and my small articles. I never thought I'll become a journalist. I was very happy to writing poem or short stories. But when I was in class 8, so because of in my area, because of this mining and all, that area was turning into a small city. and then from all over the country people were also coming for business and all. So that area was becoming little bit this power politics was going on there, and then because of some land issues, my uncle got mob lynched by some other upper caste people. So that time, because they were everywhere, they were in police station also, their people in media also. So whatever narrative they were building about Adivasi people, why they have mob lynched Adivasi people, our people were unable to counter with that narrative, and media was saying, and they have killed my uncle, and then my middle grandmother, they have put her jail because she was also in that field. And that strong narrative they were putting, that these Adivasi people are savage, Adivasi people sacrifice human for a good harvest, that's why we did this. And Adivasi people didn't know how to counter this narrative. So, and that time I was in school, I was writing stories, but I thought that time it was like turning point for me, that maybe we should go in media also. So so we can learn our perspective, or our at least we can take our people's thoughts, or maybe their voice we can bring into media. So my mother encouraged me that when you go college, you should take, you should study journalism. So she has mortgaged some land, and then I went city, and because of this incident, I have chosen to go study journalism. And after that, I started working after my college, I started working in some newspaper also 3-4 years. But I realized in newspaper also, very, very less Adivasi journalists or Adivasi reporters are there, and we never got chance to write on our issue. They were always making us separate, like you can write about market, or maybe about fashion design or something. So I left a job also, and I thought maybe I should find a different way. So I started visiting all over the Jharkhand, and I started living in grassroots, and from grassroots I started writing some article, and then I started searching how to get published in good magazine. So I started sending mail to editors many times, and in this way some good magazine which was publishing from Delhi or Mumbai, so I started getting their place there. So in this way I started writing articles and journalistic article also. But there was so much emotion, because I was traveling, I was living in grassroots, I was living with community. There was so much emotion, and beside that I started writing very powerfully. I started writing poems also. So that poem started getting viral everywhere, that who is from which forest, who is this girl who is writing. I think this journalistic writing also and this poem also, both maybe helped me to to bring voice and bring our perspective also to mainstream media also, and then in literature also. And so in this way I became journalist.
There are many questions online. I mean, there was such a good crowd as well online. So people who've been interacting online, I mean, maybe you could send me, in fact, your questions, and we would include them in the decennial volume. There is one question about the differences or frictions maybe between the terms tribal, Adivasi, and indigenous. How do you think? I mean, it's Brigachi's question.
I have answered a little bit in first question.
Yes.
Maybe you can see there is.
Yes.
Another.
So do you believe the terms tribal, Adivasi, indigenous significantly overlap for you, suggesting that they resist fixed definitions and instead exist at the intersection of similarities and differences. So thank you very much. And there are many, many messages, thanking you for the poetry. And so do you want to develop on this, or you have said already?
I'm tired also.
Yeah.
So, and I little bit I have already spoken.
Yes, and
so
we
I
can
don't want to
develop this
repeat again
in
and
writing. So would there be just one last question that you can't resist asking, or are you happy with letting Jacinta go?
She's tired.
Yeah. Right. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We'll be in touch.
we have to say